Hey guys, thanks for stopping by the channel today. We're back on the E28 M5 project, and today's task is to finish up some metal work before we get the car sent out for paint. What I'm doing today is I will be replacing the lower section, or the front section of the right-hand rocker panel. Now, I did start the replacement of this rocker panel before I decided to start filming this stuff and posting these videos. So during the video, I'm going to be trying my best to explain what I did, what I encountered, and why I did it. So hang tight and let's get going on this rocker panel. Alright guys, so you can see I have the new rocker panel. It's trim to fit, it's cleat in place. I have just a little bit of cleanup to do around the edges before I weld it in. I'll have to drill some holes down on the bottom since I don't have a spot welder. The reason why this one was replaced is not for rust, it's actually for physical damage. I'll show you the piece of the old one and explain why I'm replacing it. And the giveaway sign that I knew that this had damage that I found was actually this seam here was completely full of Bondo. It looked fairly decent, but if you compared it to the driver's side of the car, you could tell something was up. And at the bottom side, the flat side here, face of the rocker, looked pretty good. But once you got up underneath the rocker, you could actually start to see some of the mud work. So I went and started getting in there with the grinder and found, I would estimate, about 3/4 of an inch thick of mud that was in here. The new rocker panel is still available from BMW, so we ordered up a new one, and that's the repair. All right, guys, here's part of the old rocker that I actually cut out of the car. And you can see that drain hole that's stamped into it, and this is the side of it. So you can see where they actually tried using a stud gun to pull it out, but apparently this was a good enough product for them to then fill it and ship it, which isn't good enough for me. So we cut it out and we'll give her a fresh one. This is the rear section of the rocker that I did not use, so I just cut it off, and you'll see that I scavenged it for parts also. Now, unfortunately, this rocker panel, when I received it, it was missing the trailing and leading probably 4 inches of the rocker. So although it should be a complete rocker, it's really only, I would say, the middle 95% of a rocker panel. Now, you can see where they cut it. I mean, it's pretty rude and crude, where it was just sliced right off the end. So I had two ideas on how to go about fixing this. Obviously, the idea I chose here was I added metal to the front leading edge of the front section of the rocker panel that I had. 20/20 hindsight, I'm not sure if that was the better way to go. The other idea that I was toying with was actually taking the jack points here and drilling those out on both sides and moving the jack points so I could slide the sheet metal back. You can see on the rear of the rocker panel, it gets up right up here into the B pillar of the car, but I wasn't going to get that far into it because I had no damage up there. And I cut this rocker panel just right over where it rolls over into the door sill. So I could have got away with cutting out the lift points and shifting the sheet metal. If I had to do it again, I would give that a shot and see how it compared to what I did. But I made the other method work. The biggest problem that I had with the other method that I did not account for is where this rocker panel actually ended from the factory is right here, and it's right down the center of that pressed vent, which it has all the way down. And I wanted to keep the vent there. I wanted it to look factory. So I ended up cutting out one of the vents from the rear panel, cut it in half, and was able to section this in. So this panel actually has about, I think it has 3 different pieces from the rear panel that it took to make just this extra 3 inches on the front of it. Again, everything was butt welded. I TIG welded everything together, metal finished it. And you can see on the back side of this panel, I actually had some epoxy primer that I sprayed it with, and I had some extra base coat black base coat from when I did the rest of the rust repair on the back of the car that I sprayed on the back of the panels, so I'm not only relying on the E-coat. So I'm gonna have to clean this up a little bit around the edges so I can get a good weld and weld this panel on, but at least I'll have a little bit something extra than the E-coat on the inside of the rocker panel to try to make this as a long of lasting repair as I can. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this cleaned up, get some holes drilled in it, and bring you guys back when I'm getting it welded in. All right, so I got all my holes drilled on the pinch weld so I can rosette weld those in. I also hit the back side, ground it down bare metal, and put some weld through primer on it on the areas I'll be welding. And I also put some weld through primer on the inside of the rocker right up on the pinch weld where I'm gonna weld that up and on. So from here, I'm gonna go ahead and fit this rocker for one last time. I'm probably going to tack it in place with my MIG welder so I can make sure that I get this body line lined up really nice. I'm going to attempt to weld it on with the TIG welder. We're going to see how that works. I'm thinking I might have some difficulties because of the paint on the back side of this rocker, but I'll give it a shot. If that gives me any trouble, I'll just jump back to the MIG, although I don't really want to MIG weld it on. So I'm going to set the camera down and get working on it. So you can see we got the rocker all the way welded on. Took my time. I did the top with the TIG welder, and then on the sides and the bottom I used my MIG welder for those. I initially knocked down the welds with my 4-inch angle grinder with a 80 grit flapper wheel, and once I get probably 80% of the weld down, I jump to a die grinder with a 80 grit wheel, and I have a little bit more control and being careful not to get too much heat in there. After the 80 grit on the die grinder, I usually will jump to 120 and work it, and then I'll hit it with a DA when I'm completely done. So you can see on the rear, I have a little bit more work to do finish dressing it. I still need to weld the holes from the clecos, but I'll get the whole area worked where I like it, then I'll just buzz those in real quick. I still need a little bit more work to finesse where I rosette welded it here underneath the rocker on the pinch weld. And I need to address my welds right up under here where I have to work around this lift point. This I knew was going to be a problem area right up here in the front before I started welding this in, and that's mainly because this rocker was too short and I had to add this front piece in. Now this front piece is actually the rear piece from back here, and it has a slightly different shape to what it met up with on the front part of the rocker on the car. And I did my best when this rocker was off to make that work, and I knew coming into this that I was going to have to address this on the car. So you can see I've dressed the weld down and I left it proud. It's probably only 80%. I stocked with just the 4-inch flapper. And you can probably see pretty easily it's a low spot right in here. And if you hold up this straight edge, you can see where there's the low spot. Before I go any further and grind all that weld off, is what I plan to do is use the stud puller, tack weld on a couple studs, and I'm gonna go ahead and try to pull this right here and see if I can get that low spot out and give this a bit more of a natural shape. I'm hoping that I can just kind of tack everything on right here, and then once I break them off and work it and finish dressing the rest of this weld, get rid of all the evidence for it, and we should be good. In comparison to the back, as you can see when I hold the straight edge up, nice, straight, very nicely finished weld. Gonna require very minimal filler, if any at all. So the front, we're not quite to that level, so it's gonna just take a little bit more work and finesse. And I'm gonna get started on that, and we will check back and see what we end up with. So where we left off, we were using the stud puller to pull this area to get it a little bit straighter because we had the low spot here. And as you can see, came out pretty good. So got it done, got it all sanded down. Same thing here where I spliced it in, and up underneath it's all dressed. Got all the welds taken care of, dressed down. And if we get up in here, and the door jamb, same thing. You can see where it was all spliced and welded. Up here is where the support for the jacking point was welded into the rocker. So we got good gaps still. So you can see, looks pretty good. Good gap all the way down. And finally got the rocker panel done. So guys, there's still a few more loose ends I need to do to this car before I send it off the paint. Keep an eye on the channel, and I'm gonna walk you through those last steps and then take you guys through the journey of taking this to get painted. All right guys, thank you for taking the time to watch the video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it and hopefully it was helpful for you. If you guys have any questions on how to replace the rocker panel or anything that I did in general, please drop them below. I will get back to you and respond to each of the questions. If you guys want to continue to follow along with this project, please subscribe to the channel. I have a lot more videos coming your way about this car, and let's follow this project along until it's back on the road. Thanks for watching the channel.